You and I are about to watch a routine rescue mission turn into a literal nightmare that changes everything. Siwoo is just your average D-rank hunter, a specialist working for the Hunter Bureau's rescue department. His job is tracking down trapped hunters in lethal dungeons, but this latest mission feels different from the start. Things go south fast when a horde of ghouls cuts off their only exit from the pit. Using his tracking skills, he finds a path that leads straight into a nest of high-level monsters. As his team gets swamped, Siwoo spots a necromancer pulling all the strings from the shadows. In a final act of desperation, he shoves his comrades out of a magic circle to save them. Trapped behind the barrier alone, he stays to face the dungeon boss and give his friends time. The boss tries to corrupt him into a ghoul, and with his strength fading, Siwoo makes one last move. He stumbles upon a strange monument hidden deep within the labyrinth. Now watch this. The architect of the dungeon offers him a deal he can't refuse to stay alive. Transported into a tutorial zone, he realizes he's finally experienced a rare reawakening as a hunter. He starts tearing through the dungeon, leveling up at insane speeds until a system alert pops up. The system tells him he has 30 minutes left to hunt down 4 remaining ghouls to pass. Realizing time is tight, he shifterish runs so far. He loots a weapon from a fallen mob and activates his mapping skills to hunt his prey. Finding and deleting these monsters was basically child's play for someone with his new power. He felt certain he'd beat the clock, but then everything suddenly went sideways. A massive beast starts stalking him, yet Siwoo still thinks he can handle the heat. Unlike the small fry, this solo giant requires some real effort to take down. He decides to clear the weaker monsters first before using the remaining time for the big boss. He was ready to finish the hunt, but a stray monster suddenly jumped him out of nowhere. It seemed like an easy kill, but just as he strikes, that giant monster reappears right behind him. Along with 3 ghouls, it catches him completely off guard because he never even noticed that these monsters were moving as a pack while he was rushing against the clock. I know what you're thinking. He messed up the map and now he's in deep trouble. Trying to keep his cool, sees he can only fight 2 ghouls at once max. He takes one out, but being surrounded is his biggest nightmare right now. His only chance is to burst right through them, so he starts calculating every possible move. Like a chess game, he quickly sees he's been backed into a corner. Checkmate. His old insecurities as a weak hunter start crawling back as the monsters close in for blood. But he refuses to fold, reminding himself that this tutorial is designed for him to actually win. He yells at the system to start acting like a useful assistant and help him out. He needs a way out because there's no way he accepted this quest just to die. Suddenly, his sixth sense flares up and Siwoo gets ready for the fight of his life. A new notification pops up. He can now rotate dungeon blocks using that sixth sense. He syncs the new ability with his map and the system confirms the connection. The system tells him to use the map to shift the positions of the dungeon walls. Siwoo spins a block on the interface and watches as the actual labyrinth walls start rotating. Before the monsters can reach him, he flips the switch and traps them in another room. The ghouls are totally lost, leaving him with just one enemy and a massive smile. He loves this new toy, spinning the blocks to keep the monster pack separated. He hunts them down one by one, and it doesn't take long to delete 3 targets. Finally, he goes all out on the giant monster and finishes it, but then reality hits. The beast grabs him like a snack, but trust me, we're just getting started with Siwoo. Stick with me because our overpowered boss just wiped that massive ghoul with one casual swing. The system pings immediately, declaring the tutorial finished and promoting him to the Labyrinth Architect class. He also unlocks the King of the Labyrinth skill, meaning every golem he crushes now joins his army. With the victory sealed, the system offers him a teleport back to safety. Outside the dungeon, Lee Han is losing his mind trying to get back in, but his team holds him. They think he is monster food. Plus, the gate has vanished completely, leaving them with zero hope left. Suddenly, just strolls up casually munching a popsicle and even offers them a few to share. He tells them to chill their fried brains. After punching out, he hits the park and summons the orb. His primary skill lets him snatch enemies from the outside and trap them inside his own maze. The system warns him though, if a trapped enemy actually beats the boss, they can force their way out. Winners get a massive power boost too, so Siwoo decides he cannot just throw random enemies in there. No mindless moves here. He also spots that the orb is totally invisible to others, which is super clutch. His next goal, finding a way to stock his labyrinth with the most elite monsters available. He knows building a powerhouse defense now will save his skin when the real threats show up. The only way to fill the ranks is to beat the monsters first and force them into submission. He triggers the King's skill, knowing he needs to level up fast to personally crush these beastly minions. While he is deep in thought, his neighbor's daughter Yoon-hee suddenly walks up. She hands over a massive bag of apples from her mom. So is shocked by the Yoon-hee tells him it is fine since they always have extra stock sitting around their shop. Walking home, asks how school is going, and she says things are mostly okay for now. She looks uncomfortable though, and they both freeze when a blood-curdling scream rips through the air. A woman is losing it in front of a hotel, begging the police to let her save her daughter. Siwoo scans the building and realizes there is no smoke. He explains the situation to her. Pay attention, he tells her this is a dungeon break caused by a gate left open too long. Now monsters are spilling into reality. Siwoo hands over the apples and promises to come back for them later. Yoon-hee asks why he is going, and he just says it is time to do his hunter duty. He heads for the rescue department, but a cop immediately blocks his path at the hotel entrance. Siwoo flashes his ID to prove he is, but the officer is totally confused. Seeing Siwoo is solo, the man hesitates. Siwoo just tells him the rest of the crew is coming. The cop still tries to stop him because the place is crawling with dangerous red goblins inside. Since a little girl is trapped, Siwoo insists on going in alone, ignoring the officer's constant protests. Siwoo brushes him off with a smirk, knowing he is never truly the hotel looks like a mess. He is disgusted with the trade guild. They were supposed to keep this entire sector clear and safe. People assume the guilds are doing their jobs, but they ignore the small gates that do not pay well. Chasing profit over lives leads to these breaks, which usually end in a total bloodbath for civilians. Sao kicks his sixth sense into high gear and feels the red goblins lurking in the shadows. He baits them out, and they swarm like hungry flies, charging straight at him with lethal intent. He snaps his fingers, activating the orb and vacuuming every single one of them into his labyrinth. He watches from the palm of his hand, knowing his old master would have struggled with this many. You feel that vibe too? As the Labyrinth King, he can just kick back while his minions work. From the outside, Seo watches his ghouls hunt down a one-star red goblin pinned at a dead end. These red pests are common, but they follow a leader and are way smarter than your average goblin mob. Just as the ghoul thinks it is over, the goblin flashes a wicked grin as his reinforcements arrive. They lunge from the darkness to jump the ghoul, but Seo is not about to let that happen. He slams the portal shut, trapping them. Trust me, you and I have to see what happens next. Stick with me because Suho just cleared the ghoul's escape. He checks his labyrinth and realizes those goblins are cheating. He realizes he has to keep a sharper eye on things since his minions are getting picked off. Far too many red goblins were sucked into the maze, but Suho knows they are just pawns on his board. As the game master, he controls the battlefield. Moments later, he finally reaches the 17th floor, where he discovers little Sumi hiding. He gently assures the terrified girl that she is finally safe now. As they exit the building, Sumi asks if he really defeated every single monster at the front entrance. Suho says yes, knowing deep down that he was the one doing nearly all of the heavy lifting. It still counts as his victory. He realizes the monsters tracked the humans by scent before entering the labyrinth. If he hadn't arrived exactly when he did, they would have cornered Sumi in a heartbeat. Suddenly, a system alert blares. Suho is warned that over 50% of his ghouls have been wiped out. Suho ushers Sumi into the elevator alone, telling her he has some unfinished business with the remaining runts. Let's see what happens next. He checks the orb and finds the culprit, the Red Goblin King slaughtering his ghouls. Suho considers sending him to the floor boss but changes his mind almost immediately. He's worried the Goblin King might actually win and evolve, becoming way too powerful to manage. So he decides to enter the maze and handle it himself. The second he steps inside, he sees corpses everywhere. He moves across the map, determined to stop the Goblin King from causing any more of this mindless destruction. Suho draws the monster's aggro. Once the appears, he lunges at Suho, swearing to end his life. But Suho is way too fast, dodging every vicious strike without even breaking a sweat. As he dances around the blows, Suho feels the massive boost in his stats since his recent reawakening. He originally came into the labyrinth just to test his limits and let the ghouls do the dirty work. But seeing how broken his abilities have become, he figures he can just handle this entire situation solo. He feels a bit too confident, thinking he can just take matters into his own hands and finish this. As the king keeps attacking, Suho jams his blade into the monster's wrist. The weapon deflects back at him. Suho doesn't flinch. He even thanks the goblin the pushback since the beast's hand is now useless. He starts mocking the king for losing his grip. Besides, he has a brand new trick to try out. To lure the goblin to the center, Suho keeps calling him weak and a total waste of space. The insults aren't landing, so Suho decides it's time to really turn up the heat and get a reaction. But those insults aren't enough, so Suho turns it up. Trust me, you're gonna love what's next. That finally does it. Gom King flies into a blind rage when Suho calls him away. He charges headfirst, swearing to kill him, but Suho just stands there looking completely unfazed. He's actually excited to see his investment pay off. Right before the king reaches him, the trap snaps. A freeze system locks the king in place. The cold smug smile, with Osarv. He triggers a spiked ceiling trap that turns the goblin into mush that cost him 20 gold. That's roughly 2 million yen for the setup, but he's more than satisfied with the results of his spending. In fact, the effect is so brutal that he almost feels guilty for anyone who gets caught in it. Right then, the system pings, he leveled up again and his King of Labyrinth skill absorbs the pack. He heads back to the hotel where Li Han scolds him for going in there without any backup. Li Han asks if he fought those monsters alone, but Suho just fakes amnesia about the whole thing. He claims he hit his head and can't remember. Li Han isn't buying a single word of it, especially since the police said the goblins vanished the second Suho stepped foot into that hotel. But Suho isn't giving up any info. Instead, he playfully asks for some Wagyu beef. Suddenly, Shogun, the manager of the Hana Guild, cuts in because he wants to have a word. Shogun thanks them for helping the guild resolve the dungeon break, but his tone is totally fake. Suho and Li Han are disgusted. He's making it look like the guild actually helped with the cleanup. You and I just witnessed a classic move. The guild is trying to take credit for the entire operation. Alright, stick with me because you are about to see how our main character handles a massive cover-up. Since the guild wants disaster kept quiet, he promises to pay for all the hotel damages. He warns that letting any bad press leak would only freak out the general public. On top of that, he offers the rescue team a massive donation to stay silent. Sung is fuming, but he knows this guy is right. Unlike the government-run Bureau of Hunters, which is full of low-tier transfers, these private guilds have powerhouses reaching S-rank stat. This makes people trust them more, thinking the guilds are the ones with real authority. They have the strength to protect, but Sung hates how they exploit that trust for their own games. He realizes he is completely powerless to change the system, no matter how much he despises it. Refusing to just walk away, he grips the guy's shoulder hard enough to send a clear message. Sung flashes a tired smile and agrees to the deal, mostly just to keep the drama low. He needs to avoid the spotlight, knowing the association would just bury the story anyway. But watch this, he is not letting the Hunter Guild off the hook that easily. He demands a 10 billion won donation for the rescue squad since they always clean up guild messes. Is he trying to bleed them dry? He leans in and asks Seyoung if he can beat that price. Chae-yoon is stunned, but he is too terrified to even get a single word out. After stopping a dungeon break and dealing with the fallout, he finally scores 2 days off. He hits the park to chill, feeling pretty good about saving everyone without losing a soul. Plus, he successfully shook down the Hunter Guild for a fortune. The only problem? His teammates are staring him down with a million questions after he soloed a whole goblin horde. Sung keeps his mouth shut to stay under the radar and avoid any viral headlines. He did not want more guilds hunting him, so he decides to use his vacation. Upgrading his labyrinth, first step calculating the cost to fix the walls and revive his monsters. Turns out the labyrinth does not use its own unique currency. It actually runs on gold, the universal currency for every hunter out there. After doing the math, it is going to cost 53 gold, which is absolute robbery. 53 gold is 5.3 million won, basically double his monthly paycheck. Even with the insane price, he goes for it since he still has 80 gold in his pocket. Before he can finish the transaction, Young-hee from the surveillance department blows up his phone. I know what you are thinking, a work call on your day off. He is not happy. Jung-hee claps back, joking that his idea of a vacation is just sitting in a park anyway. She tells him he needs to track someone down, but suddenly the line goes completely silent. Young-hee realizes Sung hung up and she is totally shocked by his nerve. Meanwhile, Sung has already moved on, focusing entirely on his labyrinth plans the second he hung up. He decides to be smart and save some gold instead of reviving every single monster. He will just step in and handle things himself if a fight gets too intense. While thinking which plan would work better, the phone rings again, pushing him over the edge. He yells at Young-hee to do her own job and track them herself, but she begs him. She even offers to buy him premium beef. Usually he is not the hero, but that beef offer hits different. Young-hee knows she has got him and guarantees he will agree. He asks for the name of the target, and once Young-hee says it, everything changes. The name is Tae-hoon, and that is a high-caliber target that gets his blood pumping. Sung really wants to test this guy's strength, so he agrees and heads to the location. He arrives to find a group of old men casually playing chess, even without a meet. And trust me, he just tracked a massive red aura that only a top-tier hunter could possess. Alright, stick with me, we are about to see if Seal actually found the legendary Tan or just some old guy. He looks like a totally normal grandpa, but then Tan, his game partner, catches staring him down. He asks Seal if he knows Korean chess. Seal, so the man asks for advice. Seal starts coaching the old man on his next move, but before he can even finish his sentence, danger, his sixth sense screams as suddenly lunges, trying to smash him with a heavy game piece. Seal ducks just in time, letting the stone blast into a tree behind him. They scramble for safety. Tan scolds for being nosy, but that lethal strike tells Seal everything. This guy is definitely the rank legend he was hunting. Tan is one of the 5 strongest hunters in Korea. He is famous for turning anything in his hand into a deadly weapon, but before Tan can strike again, Young Jae cuts in. Tan asks if she is from surveillance, but she tells him she's actually a secret. Tan gives a backhanded compliment, calling Sol arrogant. Sol just plays along with the vibe. He leans into the arrogance. Young Jae explains they have been searching for Tan because the trainees are waiting. They are all gathered for his lecture. Tan finally agrees to head back with her. Young Jae is stunned. She asks Seal how he found a man her department could not track down. Seal just brags, saying it is all about his incredible talent. He gets ready to leave, but now watch closely because Tan tells Seal to follow him. He wants to Seal has act beyond just having a loud mouth. At the trainee meeting, Tan starts a massive demonstration. He explains he is awakening his own max capacity. He tells everyone it means a C-rank hunter can never truly escape their predetermined fate. However, he adds that the system can be tweaked slightly if your will is strong enough. Martial arts cannot be measured by numbers alone. Your skill with a weapon changes everything. While Tan fires up the crowd, Seal just zones out completely. He is only thinking about his labyrinth. Suddenly, Tan calls out a guy named Shu standing by Seal. He asks how long he's been training. She answers immediately. He has been under Tan's wing for 4 months. Turns out Yu is a solid B rank. Tan seems proud of him. He asks the kid what he thinks is needed to master a sword. Shu answers with total confidence, overwhelming strength, and a deep understanding of abilities. Tan pauses for a second before throwing the same question to Seal. Instead of overthinking it, you and I both know Seal is bold. He casually says you just need the will to swing it. The crowd starts trash-talking his answer, chanting Shu his response instead. They even point out Seal is not even part of their department. Tan says Seal's answer was way too simple. He asks if Seal is actually sure about that. Seal stands his ground, clearly impressed by Tan. Tan hates Seal's attitude but shocks everyone by announcing that Seal is right. Shu is fuming and Shul's just confused, though he still thanks Tan for the win. Questioning Tan is judgment and refusing to accept an outsider like Seal. Seal is baffled by this childish tantrum. Tan calms the situation down and Seal speaks up. He realizes this is his chance to earn a spot on that stage. Tan announces he will give same shot as Sue to pass the test. All they have to do is prove their answers are correct, but Seal rejects the offer instantly. Tan tells him to think twice, promising that he will take the winner on as his personal student. The idea of being mentored by an S-rank powerhouse, that changes everything for Seal. Besides getting stronger, it is his golden ticket to climbing the ranks of society. Tan sees that he is hooked so perfectly, so he asks for his final answer. Seal hesitates for a heartbeat before locking in. Now you and I are heading to the test site. Tan tells them to use their new skills to shatter a massive gemstone. Alright, stick with me. We're starting with a massive challenge where only the best student becomes a legend. This rare ether stone only exists within the temple walls, pulsing with a dangerous, untamed magical energy. Only the most elite awakened can even scratch it, leaving Tyson wondering who can handle his power. Meanwhile, is acting like a total star, hyping up the crowd to back his big win. As the onlookers roar for Siu, knows he has to seize the shot no matter the cost. Tyson prepares the transfer, but he issues a grim warning about the sheer weight of this power. If they feel nothing, they're instantly out, and then, he slams his energy into both Siu. A terrifying red aura slams into them. Instantly, Xiao combats. Before he can even process the data, Tyson's suffocating pressure nearly crushes his lungs. He He needs that skill. Just as his world goes dark, suddenness washes over him. He finally witnesses the inheritance, a spectral spear materializing out of thin air right before his eyes. System alerts flash. He's just unlocked the Hellspirit ability and a whole new set of power. He's mastered the legendary Dragon King spear art, earning a rare nod over from Master Tan. Most people feel zero connection or just pass out instantly before the transfer can even finish. When Tan calls for the first volunteer jumps forward ready to flex and stun everyone watching. He wants to crush Su's spirit before the kid even tries. He prepares his ultimate. Under his breath he curses So, convinced the D rank got here by throwing money around. It makes zero sense to him how a weak withstood a powerhouse like Tyson's legendary aura. Now pay attention because we're about to see how much damage a full power sword strike can do. A massive chunk of stone breaks off, leaving the crowd completely speechless. They think his talent is being wasted in monitoring. Meanwhile, Tan is watching Seo very closely. Theo starts trash-talking, telling the junior he needs to learn his place at the bottom. But Seo claps back hard, calling out Seo's massive inferiority complex right in front of everyone. He says the guy is just desperate for validation before the argument nearly turns into a brawl. Tan shuts the noise down. Now it's finally Seo's turn to step. He only fought back because he couldn't let that toxic, arrogant attitude slide. He knows he's outclassed in raw energy, but Seo doesn't let the pressure shake his resolve. This isn't just about muscle, it's a test of pure willpower to see who's truly worth. He's going to prove his philosophy is right, even if Tyson's earlier advice was cryptic as hell. Seo is locked in. He pauses, searching deep within himself for the reason he's doing this. Images of the rescue hunter who once saved his life start flashing through his mind. You feel that, right? That's the moment he realizes he wants to be a hero too. He wants to become a savior so others can feel that same hope he once did. To reach that goal, he has to evolve. He has to become something much greater. Seo ignites his dragonfire heart, pouring every ounce of soul into one devastating spear strike. The stone doesn't just chip. As the dust settles, Seo walks back, totally unfazed. He drops a savage apology, reminding Siu just stole his entire spotlight. Tyson is impressed. Unleashing that level of raw power requires a warrior who truly knows themselves. Tan officially claims Seo as his disciple, and our hero can't help but celebrate the win. The crowd goes wild, but elsewhere Yanhee is trapped in an alley by a brutal gang. Their leader Gintai starts mocking Yanhee for her failed heroics. This nightmare started because she tried to save her friend from these heartless monsters. Yanhee punched Gintai for bullying, which only made the target on them even bigger. Tragically, her friend chose to end it all just to escape the relentless torment they faced. So trust me on this. Things are about to get dark. Her friend is barely clinging to life. Alright, you and I are jumping into a world where a monster like Guntae thinks he can slap a girl and get away with it. AB rank hunter interrupts the assault, so Guntae orders his crew to block her escape while they move out. He commands the hunter to follow him to a secluded spot where they can torment the poor girl without any witnesses. This psycho literally hired a professional killer just to help him torture an innocent student in the middle of nowhere. Back at work, Juna is fangirling because our main character is now the disciple of a legendary rank hunter. His master let him pick any weapon, and he chose a spear, which Yeonhee thinks is a huge mistake. Seo Yul knows better though. To everyone else it is basic, but his system reveals its true terrifying power. This is Loga. An evolution spear transforms based on the user's pure will. As they arrive, Yoongi starts whining because they are working way past their scheduled shift-ending time. Seo Yul shuts her down fast, mocking her after doing absolutely zero work all day. Juna snaps and tries to attack him, but Seyul effortlessly shoves her back with just one hand. Suddenly a commotion breaks out. An exhausted woman is desperately pleading with the guard to let her inside. The guard remains cold, telling her she needs to call the person she is looking for. She cries out that she already tried, but Seo Yul didn't pick up his phone. He steps in immediately. He asks what is wrong, and the woman grabs his shirt, her voice trembling as she delivers the news. Now pay attention here. This woman is Yeonhee's mother, and she reveals her daughter was kidnapped and taken to the Yellow Belt. Fi-Yul sees red, demanding to know who took her. Meanwhile, Guntae's lackeys are starting to get cold. Guntae tells them to relax since they have a powerful B-rank hunter watching their backs in this wasteland. The sick freak proudly explains his plan to force Yeonhee into a deathmatch against a monster. He laughs at her terror, claiming the monsters in the Yellow Belt are nothing but weak little pests. Yeonhee is paralyzed with fear and bolts, knowing this lunatic is actually going through with it. She sprints forward, desperate to escape the clutches of this absolute madman at any cost. But she doesn't get far. Guntae barks an order for the hunter to take her down. The hunter effortlessly trips her, sending her crashing into the dirt. She screams for someone to save her. The blonde girl laughs, telling her to stop wasting her breath because nobody is coming for her. Suddenly, the hunter's instincts kick in. Something is watching them from the darkness. You and I both know what happens to arrogant side characters. Blondie ignores the warning and becomes the first to die. She is the first to get slaughtered. The hunter rushes forward to block a barrage of stingers. Guntae is horrified seeing her corpse. The hunter screams at him to run back the way they came. Guntae is literally frozen in terror, stammering and asking what the hell just attacked them. They are spine hawks, massive mutated hornets that hunt in deadly. By now, So-Yul has entered the zone, calling Jongmin to thank him for the intel. Jungmin was the one who tracked her location. So-Yul is grateful, but his friend is worried. He warns Se-Yul that going in solo is suicide, so he better be careful. Seo-Yul scans the ruins of the Yellow Belt, which used to be a normal area. A brutal dungeon break turned this entire place into a restricted, unmanageable death zone. The monsters here aren't just strong, they are cunning and love to set traps. Seo-Yul confirms this himself, already dropping a few of the pests as he moves deeper. They are easy for him, but for an unawakened girl like Yeonhee, this place. Suddenly the hornets dive in for another brutal ambush. He doesn't have time for this, so he traps them in his labyrinth instead. He tells them to call their friends, but seeing the massive swarm arrives? Not good. Guntei is now sprinting for his life, but the hornets have him backed into a corner. And trust me, you and I are going to love seeing this absolute jerk finally get what he deserves. Here is why. Alright, you and I are about to see if Zio can stop his labyrinth from collapsing under all these monsters. Zio knows he can't handle them alone on the outside. It's time for him to pull a total pro-gamer move. He sucks every hornet into the sphere and forcefully floods his own labyrinth with a massive crushing wave of water. The hornets were just starting to settle in when they suddenly freeze, sensing a massive threat heading their way. Before they can even react, a violent torrent of water slams into the tunnels, drowning every last one of them. It honestly hurts Zio's soul to see his precious little kingdom getting wrecked like this by the flood. Repairs are going to cost a fortune. That's exactly why he was so hesitant to use this method earlier. Still, it worked. The hornets are dealt with, and they're no longer hunting him down in the real world. Meanwhile, Gentai and his squad are still desperately trying to survive their chaotic temple run. Gentai is officially losing his cool with his useless B-rank hunter. The guy tries to explain himself though. He claims the bugs are just too much for one person, but that only makes Gentai even more furious. The others already bailed, and now he's stuck with this spineless loser who calls himself a B-rank hunter. To make matters worse, Gentai's second servant gets absolutely shredded by hornet stingers in a brutal display of power. Now watch this. Gentai finally realizes he messed up big time by wearing that yellow belt just for fun. As the hornets close in, the hunter defends the rear while Gentai is forced to handle the front line. When a hornet lunges, Gentai shows his true colors by grabbing Johnny to use as a human shield. Luckily, someone knocks Johnny out of the way before the stinger hits, leaving everyone in the room stunned. Instead of saying thanks, Gentai barks at the shadows. That's when Soyul steps out, looking totally annoyed. He introduces himself as a bureau hunter and demands to know if Gentai dragged Johnny into this dangerous mess. Johnny gets super emotional when she realizes Zio actually came for her, and she immediately runs into his arms. He asks if she's okay, noting that this is the very first time he's ever seen her cry. Gentai ruins the moment by offering to pay any amount of cash if Zio just leads him to the exit. Johnny tells him to ignore the trash, but Soyul's goes dark as he turns toward her. He whispers an apology, and before she can even ask why, he knocks her out cold with one. He sets her down gently, promising to head home right after he finishes taking out the literal garbage. I know what you're thinking, and yeah, Zio's about to do something he doesn't want Johnny to see. He slams his spear into the ground, cracking his knuckles for the beatdown that's about to go down. But Gentai is too arrogant to shut up. He pulls the classic "Do you know who I am" card. To his shock, Zio tells him that Face is actually quite famous among the higher-up bureaucrats. Zio reveals is the bratty son of Bumjin, a high-ranking Supreme Court justice. Turns out Gentai is notorious for bullying, theft, and all sorts of crazy, disgusting crimes. But thanks to his father's deep pockets and influence, he manages to buy his way out every time. Seeing that Zio knows his history, Gentai actually thinks he can still intimidate the man in front of him. He stands tall and asks what he plans to do about it. Big mistake. Zio kicks his shin and delivers a chin-shattering blow that shuts his brain down instantly. Gentai hits the deck in pure agony, but Zio isn't giving him a second to breathe. He starts using him as a human punching bag, taunting Gentai to actually try and fight back. Since Gentai is his biggest headache, he delivers a few more hits before the hunter finally steps in. The hunter swings, but Zio dodges easily, letting him through since the bodyguard already cleared out the pesky hornets. Gentai starts acting tough again, convinced that his bodyguard is about to win this fight for him. He's sure this useless hunter, who couldn't even handle a few weak bugs, is finally going to get crushed. But Zio is a blur, dodging every strike with ease. Honestly, he's getting pretty sick of this guy. He was actually going to let them off with a warning. But the second that hunter tried to kill Johnny, Zio's entire plan changed completely. So let's watch Zio make sure this hunter never hurts anyone again before finally dumping the trash. Alright, you and I are about to see if this fake E-rank can finally finish the job. He pulls out his heavy-duty weapons, leaving the hunter baffled since E-rankers are usually total weaklings. Zio's power is clearly hitting a different level, forcing the hunter to question everything he knows about ranks. He even suspects Zio isn't an E-rank at all. Despite those doubts, the hunter still thinks he can win because Zio is only wielding a spear. He decides to close the gap, fully convinced that he can overpower him in close combat. Watch this part closely though, because the second he gets in range, reality hits him like a train. Zio snatches his hand like he was waiting for this. Then he delivers a massive strike to the face, giving him a much-needed facelift that knocks the hunter out cold. Talk about an absolute one-shot. Gentai is losing it, screaming for protection, but for him the luck has officially run out. The hunter's brain is already on vacation by the time Gentai realizes Zio might be B-rank level. It finally clicks. Zio just effortlessly deleted a B-rank hunter like it was a walk in the park. He figures it is all thanks to the stat boost from those hornets. His raw strength is insane. He has officially surpassed a B-rank hunter. Zio just grins, which makes Gentai even more furious. The brat grabs a rock, hoping he can somehow win even though he is useless against someone this powerful. As he charges forward, Zio stays chill, and with one simple spear flick, he puts Gentai on the ground. Zio asks him how it feels to finally be getting the stick. He reminds Gentai that his victim suffered more, but the jerk shows no remorse, telling Zio to leave. He says the world only cares about money and power. When Zio sees it learn nothing, he is done. He decides the world would just be a better place without a piece of trash like Gentai around. Gentai starts panicking, but Zio has no intention of even lifting a single finger against him direct. He picks up Johnny and tells Gentai he is leaving him for the hungry beast in the yellow belt. Sinister eyes emerge from the shadows as a pack of monster wolves surrounds him. Gentai starts screaming in terror. He begs them to back off, hoping for some miracle power to control animals. Yeah, that is not happening. You and I both know how this ends. The wolves pounce while Zio calmly walks away with Johnny. Once they are out of the danger zone, Johnny gets a heartwarming reunion with her family. Jungmin then shares the news. Those corrupt officials who helped Gintai, they are officially finished. They have been arrested and kicked out of the district office. Justice has been served, and it feels great. He also guesses that things in the city might get a little chaotic for a while after this. Just like he predicted, the news caused an absolute firestorm after those officials were finally punished. Even Gintai's dad got caught in the crossfire and had to resign from the Supreme Court. To wrap this whole mess up, the system hit Seo with a brand new quest after the incident. He has 30 days to hunt the king's hounds in the Yellow Belt. If he completes the mission, he gets a high-grade dagger, 100 gold and some legendary royal jelly from the queen. But if he fails, he loses 50% of his power or any insect-type monsters he encounters. Seo remembers seeing that queen bee back in the Yellow Belt. She looked absolutely massive and terrifying. He knows taking her down won't be easy with that swarm, but honestly, he's hyped for it. That queen must be high level. Her workers almost shredded his allies earlier. He needs to step his game up. Li Han is ready to bounce to another gig, but when he asks about the paperwork, Seo freezes for a split second before vanishing. Men hate to buy bureaucracy as much as we do. With a month left on the clock, Seo knows he has to prepare for that bee swarm. Those bugs reproduce fast, and they will be trying to take back their territory in no time. Seo reaches a temple where Old Man Tan calls him out for being late. Classic mentor vibes. Training starts immediately, as he walks inside and gears up in his new dojo uniform. So finally realizes he is Tan's student, but stick with me, the real training is only just beginning. Alright, you and I are about to see if this kid can handle training that would crush most men. Tan leans Seo into Gunzo, before pointing out a massive monster jawbone. It is a one-of-a-kind specimen. Touching the jagged scars on his back, Tan reveals that this beast nearly sent him to the afterlife. Tan approaches the massive bone and gives Seitas. This is task 1. Tan grips the heavy metal handles bolted onto the side of the monster mouth. With explosive strength, he rips it wide open. After proving his point, he admits is tough. The bone is still as stubborn as ever. Gunzo claps for his master, praising him for being a beast. The guy is a total beast. Seo is absolutely floored by the man's insane muscles and shredded physique. Tan tells Seo to give it a shot. Seo steps up, staring bone and calculating his. He is stronger than a B rank hunter now, so he expects to at least make the thing move. But watch this, his power isn't enough to move the jaw. Tan is absolutely shocked. The bone is frozen solid. Seo refuses to quit, straining every muscle in his body against the metal. Tan explains this is how he'll forge real strength. He has to keep grinding until it finally snaps open. No progress until this is done. There is no moving on until the kid's watching from the side. Gunzo isn't impressed at all. To him, the result was always obvious. Seo is just another green rookie, but when Gunzo hits the gym the next morning, he freezes. He spent 2 years bleeding and sweating to prove he deserves to be the master direct student. Yet this new guy just walks in and takes his spot. Gunzo is fuming that some office worker replaced him. He expected a high-rank warrior, not some paper pusher, after all the blood he spilled for them. Gunzo feels tossed aside like trash. He storms into the training hall, ready to vent some frustration. But Seo is already there, scrubbing the floors. He greets the senior with a voice tight with annoyance. Seo tells him to relax and drop the formalities since he is just the new guy on the block. Gunzo isn't having it. To play nice, he looks around and his jaw drops. The entire gym is glowing. He asks if Seo really cleaned this massive place alone. Gunzo walks off, telling him to stop because it makes the other students look lazy. Disciples shouldn't be doing janitor work. Seo is confused and looks at Gunzo directly. Does a hierarchy really matter for simple chores? Seo says he spared time and just felt like helping out. Being the star pupil doesn't mean he is too good for chores. He won't push work on others. They are all here for one goal, getting stronger. Gunzo glares, thinking this guy's beyond annoying. For the next 2 weeks, Gunzo watches the new guy like a hawk during every single session. Seo is always the last one to leave. Gunzo starts noticing things. Despite his special status, Seo never acts big-headed. He doesn't look down on anyone in the room. He trains like a man possessed and actually makes friends with everyone. Gunzo can't find a single flaw. I know what you're thinking. Jealousy is a drug, and Gunzo hates how much he respects. Seo almost pries the jaw open, but his strength fails. Palms are raw and dripping with blood. He has been gripping those handles for hours. That's when Gunzo finally walks over and offers him water. He tells him to take it easy. Seo smiles, happy the senior is finally talking to him normally. Seo takes a long drink. Suddenly, a deafening horn blares through the air from somewhere in the distance. It's the emergency call for the Overcross Guild. Apparently, the entire squad was mobilized for a massive raid today. They are heading to a nearby dungeon. Seo is surprised they are moving out at this hour. Gunzo explains that Overcross operates 24/7. Turns out he used to be one of their fighters. The next morning, the guild emerges victorious. They manage to capture a rare steelblood orc alive. One hunter looks at the caged beast and asks his partner if poaching monsters is even legal. The answer is a hard no. But this specific orc is a gold mine on the... It is worth over $12 billion. Trust me, we're about to see things get real dangerous. Stick with me because you're about to see how 2 idiots accidentally trigger an absolute monster with a trinket. These fools actually start mocking the orc while dangling that earring right in its face. They decide to just toss it away, which basically sends the orc into a total murderous frenzy. Meanwhile, Seo and his squad just wrapped up a rescue and are heading back to headquarters. His team leader tries to grab him for dinner, but Seo has to turn him down. His master is out of town, so he is stuck babysitting the rest of the academy students. Suddenly, emergency sirens scream. They need backup for a high-level boss monster that just broke loose. This illegal 3-star beast is currently rampaging, and get this, it happened right at the Martial Arts Association. The orc is already there, turning the entire facility into a pile of rubble and broken dreams. Guno is battered and completely helpless. As he lies there, his entire life starts flashing before his eyes. He always thought he was some top-tier genius, believing it was his right to step on the weak. To him, exploiting underlings was just the way the world worked for the strong. But then reality hit. Watch closely because this is the moment Guno realizes his own men just left him to die. He finally sees that he was just another replaceable part in a cold, heartless machine. The world is a dark, twisted place, but Guno still clings to the hope of some good. Someone saved him once, and now he is trying to live up to that hero's shadow. Instead of rolling over, Guno drags himself back up to his feet to face the orc. He screams at the beast, declaring that 2 years in that hellhole made him a survivor. Even though his body is failing him, Guno aims his broken blade at the monster. He just needs to keep the orc's focus on him so the other students can make a break for it. The orc swings a massive blow and Guno is just too drained to even flinch. He is already imagining his head leaving his shoulders when suddenly, a shadow leaps in front of him. It is Shu, deflects the strike and tells Guno he has done more than enough for today. Shu tells him to rest and drags the orc straight into his labyrinth dimension. You and I both know Shu is tough, but even he did not expect this beast's aggression. He cannot wrap his head around how this monster is still so insanely violent and energetic. It just finished a war with the Overcross Guild, yet it is still hunting Shu like a predator. The beast tears through the labyrinth's walls like wet paper, never letting up for a second. Shu stops running and admits he cannot take this monster down in a fair one-on-one fight. He immediately summons a swarm of red goblins to surround and overwhelm the rampaging orc. But this thing is a nightmare. It shreds the goblins like they are nothing while Shu watches for an opening. Seeing his minions get ripped apart makes Shu's blood boil. He is furious at the total carnage. All that hard work repairing the labyrinth is being trashed, and he realizes the goblins are not enough. The fodder monsters are not creating the window he needs to land a finishing blow on the beast. He did not want to risk his heavy hitter, but at this point he has no other choice. Shu calls out the labyrinth boss Curry, and a brutal earth-shaking clash of titans begins. While Cowrie tanks the hits, leaps in and drives his spear deep into the orc's skull. But the orc is built different. It survives the brain stab and crushes Cowrie with raw strength. With Cowrie down, the system warns Shu that an immediate escape is currently impossible. Fuming because his boss monster is dead, Shu lures the beast into the Hall of Steel. A rain of arrows pin the orc down, giving Shu to slice its leg clean. The monster hits the floor, and Shu triggers a spiked ceiling trap to finish the job. And that is where we leave it. Shu is a tactical genius for stacking those traps. But his victory celebration is cut short by a flashing warning about the labyrinth's durability. It is dropped to 72%. If it hits 60, the whole place is going to vanish. Alright, you and I are about to see this hunter hit rock bottom before he absolutely explodes. Losing that boss is a massive hit to his pride, but without this dungeon he'd be dead. Suddenly the ground shakes. He's barely processing the chaos when the orc erupts through the floor like a total nightmare. It looks way more lethal than before. That is when the system notification finally pings. The orc is entering its final stand. Seo knows this beast is too strong for the dungeon walls to hold. He decides to head back to the surface, assuming the association already cleared everyone out. He plans to finish the orc once he has enough room to move. Meanwhile, Gunwus is searching everywhere. He wonders where Seo disappeared to. Suddenly the gate tears open right next to him. Before he can react, watch closely right here. This is where Seo and the monster finally clash in the open air. Seo realizes something wild. He is actually going toe-to-toe with this massive monster. Is the orc just tired? He realizes his own strikes are hitting with way more impact. The orc's swings are heavier, but its body absorbs the shock like it is made of solid iron. Those 2 weeks of hellish training finally paid off. It definitely was not a waste of time. Back then, it felt like his limbs were tearing off, but now, raw power flows through every muscle. Seo charges the orc with a grin, thrusting his spear deep because he is finally enjoying the fight. Before he can even finish that thought, the orc snatches the spear and pins him down. He gets launched into a distant wall. Seo coughs up blood while trying to keep his head in the game. He realizes the orc took his weapon because it thinks he cannot pierce its skin without it. Seo lures the orc in, proving he's got brains to match his. In that split second, he spins around and spots the suitcase still lying behind him. An idea hits him. Gunwoo lunges at the orc to buy Seo a few precious seconds. He tells Seo to grab a weapon while he can. Gunwoo barely finishes his sentence. Before the orc slams him into the dirt, Seo rushes in shouting that he already found a weapon. With the orc distracted by Gunwoo sees his opening, he snatches up the massive jawbone. You feel that tension? Seo's is betting everything on this one move as energy surges through him. He grips the jawbone and slams the lever home. The improvised weapon is ready for blood. The blade cleaves through the orc's neck, decapitating the beast in one clean, brutal motion. The system alerts Seo that he's earned a unique item, the demonic dagger. Seo actually thanks the orc, because this fight pushed his training to the next level. Once the beast is dead, Seo rushes to Gunwoo, who is already starting to lose consciousness. Seo screams at him to stay awake. That's enough to shock Gunwoo back into the land of the living. Seo teases him about having 9 lives. Gunwoo looks up like he's seeing a guardian angel. Seo doesn't really get the vibe and just keeps joking. Someone mentions that there's nobody left to look after him. Seo tells Gunwoo to relax since the nightmare is over. By the next morning, reporters and news crews have completely swarmed the office headquarters. Suddenly, the director across Yanwan appears. Every camera lens locks onto him instantly. The press demands a statement on the chaos. Some ask if he'll admit the truth, that this happened during an illegal monster transport. Yunwan finally decides to speak. He faces the cameras and offers a public apology to all the victims involved. He claims the Steelblood Orc was high-value research material they intended to donate. Despite the massive risks, Yunwan tells the reporters he has no further comments for now. He promises to cooperate fully with the investigation by the Oversight Department. Just then, a reporter spots Seo in the background and shifts the entire crowd's focus. They rush him, desperate for a quote about how he survived the encounter. How does an E-rank pull that off? You and I will have to wait for the next chapter to find out. Alright, you and I are diving into a scene where a reporter starts trash-talking the Bureau's efforts. He keeps going, claiming the office only exists to watch the big guilds and coordinate plans. But these recent failures prove they can't even handle the basic tasks they were assigned to. He blames the bureau for everything, so hears this, but his boss tells him to stay cool. He says to ignore the guy because he's just a YouTuber paid by guilds to post garbage. The boss wants him to walk away and not give that guy attention. But since they're playing dirty, CO decides it's time for his own move. He confronts the reporter. He asks if the camera is live. The guy insults him but wants to know why. CO wants the whole world to hear this in real time. He shouts, asking if lying pays well. He points at Junon, calling the bureau the servants who clean up all the guild's nasty messes. Suddenly everyone goes silent. Even Junon is so shocked he can't find a single word to. CO's boss drags him off before more damage is done. Junon then turns to his loyal assistant. He asks if CO is the same rude punk from before, and the assistant confirms. This makes Junon absolutely furious. He tells his assistant to do whatever it takes to destroy him. Now pay attention, because by Theo's outburst has gone absolutely viral online. Li Han tells the officials that CO shouldn't be punished, especially since some articles are actually praising him. But Yoon Hyuk, the head of the monitoring department, is dead set on making CO pay for it. Li Han disagrees, saying the punishment should go to Overcross or the people running that circus. Junon asks if Li Han is calling them incompetent, and Li Han says that is exactly. Junon nearly explodes with rage, but the director steps and tells everyone to just calm down. Then the man asks Li Han if CO really has a 100% rescue success rate. Li Han confirms it's true. The man realizes they cannot afford to lose. He says they must protect the bureau's dignity even with guilds involved. Jun is left completely confused. He asks if the director has a plan, and he says playing along is the right move now. Since the guilds want to play games, he just calmly takes a sip of his hot tea. This is Park Kwang-soo, the bureauer. Later gets a formal invitation to meet him. He heads straight to the director's office to see what the man wants with him. Once he enters, Kwang-soo tells him to sit because they have some serious business to discuss. Kwang-soo brews some tea for them. After serving it, he asks CO what he. CO teases the old man, saying the tea is so good he should honestly open it. Kwang-soo laughs and asks CO what rank he'd get if he actually retook the power test. CO says he isn't totally sure, but he knows it definitely won't be his current D rank. Kwang-soo agrees, noting CO has achieved things no rank hunter could ever dream of doing. However, Kwang-soo warns him that things are getting difficult as people start digging for dirt. Deep down, CO is starting to worry because he doesn't know where this conversation is going. You and I both know he's worried the director is trying to sniff out his biggest secrets. Kwang-soo is a political veteran, which is how he's held onto his high position for years. Earlier, Li Han told CO to be honest and avoid playing games or it would hurt him. CO knows he's always followed Li Han's advice, but he's still unsure about what to reveal. He knows it isn't smart to mention the Labyrinth, even if he's trying to be truthful. Right then, Kwang-soo tells him to relax because he won't ask how he got so strong. Instead, he says the bureau desperately needs CO's power at this very moment in time. Without wasting any time, he drops the news that he's sending CO on an overseas mission. Meanwhile, Junon was just cleared because the investigation into his actions was officially closed. Stick with me, Junon asks about CO, but the guy claims he knows nothing at all. Alright, stick with me here. Junon is absolutely losing his mind over why he cares about a simple paramedic. He claims the guy is just a pest, asking if Junon is exiling him out of pure spite. Junon warns him to watch his mouth, insisting he only wants a subordinate who actually mirrors his own standards. They are right in the middle of this heated argument when someone suddenly appears and asks if they are friends. Trying to act cool, Junon scoffs that it seems like fate just keeps dragging them into each other's mess. Junon mentions hearing the news being sent to the sticks. CO listens in and casually notes that he already knows everything, even if the official notice is not out yet. Our boy CO Jun starts teasing him. He asks Junon if he is stalking him or something, but tells him not to worry about his new location, since it is only a 6-month mission. Junon mocks CO Jun, a naive optimist, for being so relaxed. Apparently, the office only sends out high-level managers or department heads, making this look like a total demotion. Junon is still spewing total nonsense till Seo Jun suddenly steps in and shuts him down completely. He notes that even Junon's little spy Xiu missed the real Seo, admits he was going to wait to share. Pay attention here because this is where Seon drops the absolute bomb. He reveals that as of today, he jumped from grade 8 all the way up to grade 6. Thanks to that double promotion, he is now a senior officer. Everyone is absolutely floored. Seo immediately starts poking at Junon, noticing he does not look very happy for his rival. Junon swallows the bitter pill and claims he is happy but wonders if the office is just handing out ranks. He asks if they are giving promotions to unqualified losers now. Fires back that this just proves one thing. The top brass is clearly interested in keeping real talent. He knows Junon is just salty that things failed. That comment triggers Junon, who unleashes his massive aura to crush him, but Seo Jun does not even flinch. Things are getting dangerous, so Xiu has to step in and tell Junon that it is finally time to go. Junon apologizes, claiming he was just distracted, and turns to walk away, but as he leaves, Seo Jun has a message. He offers some free advice. Seo explains that trying to break him by changing his location was a massive mistake. No matter where they ship him off to, his duty as a rescue hunter stays zero change. Seo Jun walks away with total confidence, leaving Junon to lose his mind and punch a hole through the wall. Turns out, back in the meeting, Director Kwang-soo told him there was no need to worry about the assignment. On the surface, it looks like a total exile, but it is actually just a 6-month mission for the agency. However, Seo has to show real results. That is the only way to keep those greedy outsiders from coming for him. During the talk, Kwang-soo notices So is totally zoning out and has to snap him back to reality. Seo apologizes and thanks the director for looking out for him, but he has one big request before he goes. I know what you are thinking, but Seo Jun has a special request. He wants a very specific location. He wants to be sent to the place where help is needed the most. Kwang-soo is completely stunned. He never expected someone to be this selfless in this situation. The director has to admit Seo is special. The guy is truly one of a kind. Later, the rest of the crew finds out about his promotion to senior officer. It blows their minds. They rush to ask Lehan if he knew, and he calmly confirms he is in the loop. Since he is the department head, of course he knows. They panic, wondering how they will manage rescues without Seo. Leon tells them they just have to do their jobs, since Seo still has 1 week left before he moves. Leon suggests giving him a call for the team dinner happening tonight. They really want him to join them. The blonde guy decides to try his luck and dial Seo's number. Surprisingly, he actually picks up the phone. But Seo tells him he is currently busy tracking something down. The guy naturally asks what he is doing. Seo simply says he is clearing out a hornet nest. Turns out he is finally making his move on a mission. He dived headfirst into the dungeon to complete a high-stakes mission before his timer finally hits 0. Only 72 hours remain. If he fails, his combat against monsters drops by 50%. Hanging up the phone, Seo locks his gaze onto the massive nest of the queen. He senses the danger and gears up for battle, determined to finish this quest before the clock hits 0. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see this fight. Alright, you and I are about to watch Seo handle a massive monster wave without even sweating. He ignores the grunts and sprints for the queen, but suddenly, a swarm of insects cuts him off. These are the Swifts. Seo no choice but to slash through them as he realizes the trap. The queen was ready. She spawned an army that starts firing stingers at him like armor-piercing bullets. This move drains her energy fast, so the queen doesn't usually go for this scorched earth strategy right away. Seo wonders if she planned this all along. He needs to move now before he gets completely surrounded. To defend himself, he opens the labyrinth, vacuuming those bugs right into his collection of deadly traps. With the gateway open, he thinks he has a clear shot straight to the heart of the nest. But the monsters suddenly switch up their movement. Seal's stunned, wondering why they're dodging his vortex. They are hugging the ground to avoid the pull. They've learned how to counter his most powerful move. After seeing their tactical adjustments, Seo realizes the queen has been studying his every move like a pro. She isn't just a beast. She has been taking mental notes on his fighting style this entire time. Seo actually feels honored, though he's mostly annoyed she's using her limited brain power just to kill him. He can't revive his fallen monsters right now, so he has to step inside the labyrinth himself. The plan is simple: bait as many bugs possible into the zone before making a break for it. Once he's close to the queen, he starts trash-talking, telling her to stop hiding and face him. Suddenly, her energy spikes. She is moving erratically, which means she's about to drop something big. Is she calling the rest of the hive? He can tell something massive is headed his way. Watch closely, he just activated his 6th. Just in time, he dodges a lethal strike that would have ended his run right then and there. She summoned her personal bodyguard, a heavy hitter she created to be her ultimate secret weapon. This beast is called Winglash. Its power is so overwhelming that Seo is forced to fall back immediately. He sees how desperate the queen is to stop him now. She spent everything on this beast, sprints toward the orb, baiting Winglash into a perfect trap. The trap snaps shut. The orb snags the monster, leaving the queen wide open and completely vulnerable. Winglash struggles as the gravity of the labyrinth starts dragging its massive body into the abyss. Seo flanks the queen, but out of nowhere, Winglash launches one more desperate attack from behind. He spins around just in time to block, but the force of the blow slams him to the dirt. Seo gasps as he sees the monster literally ripped its own arm off to escape the vacuum. The queen screeches encouragement to her wounded soldier while Winglash pins Seo to the ground. You and I both saw this coming, so Seo decides to drag them into the labyrinth and force them to fight on his own terms. He is not worried anymore. They have just entered his home turf where he holds all the cards. He taunts them, telling the monsters to sit still if they want to stay on his good side. He starts to explain why they are doomed, then realizes talking to bugs is making him look insane. Seo dives into his inventory to trigger the floor traps. It is time to collect some high-tier loot. He rains down a storm of arrows, but Winglash deflects every single one with his powerful wing. Theo is impressed. He finally gets why this creature earned the legendary name of Winglash. But the monster forgot one thing. The arrows aren't just coming from the front, it gets shredded from behind. He reminds the queen of his warning. Every struggle is useless once you step into his world. The labyrinth is his domain. Her efforts were always destined to fail once she entered. The place was rigged from the start. Now that her ultimate weapon is dead, she is all alone. Theo tightens his grip and prepares for the final strike against the queen. Her exoskeleton is thick. He knows a simple jab with a spear won't even leave a scratch. He circles her, shifting his stance to find that one tiny gap in her natural armor. And trust me, you and I won't believe how she keeps blocking. Stick with me. You and I are about to see if this queen finally goes down. Even with 3 days left on the quest, he wants this nightmare over before leaving the maze. He refuses to look like a coward, so he triggers a trap to stop her in her trap. Now pay attention, because the trap smashes her limbs while he preps an insane finishing move. It is his first time using this skill, but he does not care about the risk anymore. He aims right at the queen, charging in while she is completely defenseless and unable to move. He lunges with his purple lotus skill, unleashing a massive wave of pure violent energy. A giant hole is ripped through the queen, ending the fight and triggering a victory notification. So is left gasping for air since that one attack drained every bit of his power. Seeing the burn on his hand makes him realize just how weak he actually was until now. There is no turning back now, and the system announces that his quest rewards are officially in his inventory. He decides to check the loot and see if all this pain was actually worth it. He finds a rare poison stinger, a unique item that comes with a very nasty effect. It can paralyze monsters ranked 2 stars or lower, but it is less effective on higher tier. So realizes this could definitely be a massive lifesaver in certain situations if he uses it right. Trust me, this next reward is the one that is really going to change everything for him. The rare royal jelly can be used once to drastically boost his sensitivity to mana. Side effects are a thing, but he needs way more mana to keep using his traps. So he bites into the royal jelly and swallows it whole, desperate for any power edge he can get. Instantly, a surge of highly condensed mana starts exploding through his entire body. The pressure is overwhelming, but So refuses to let all that hard-earned energy go to waste. He focuses every ounce of his will into figuring out how to tame the wild liquid. By controlling his breathing, he forces the true chi to flow directly into his blood vessels. Finally, the mana settles down and the system congratulates him on a successful body transformation. And there it is, our hero just unlocked a legendary new body for his soul. Let's dive in. Seo feels his senses sharpening and he is loving it. This power-up is all thanks to a single piece of royal jelly. Seo checks his stat and realizes he has leveled up significantly. He is finally reaping rewards for risking his. But then he remembers the side effects. Instead of investigating, Seo just decides to ignore them. He figures he will deal with it later since the main event monster integration is starting. Seo notices that there are barely any red kobolds left roaming around the labyrinth. He can't solo certain monsters yet, so it is definitely time to restock his supply. While storing eggs, the system notifies him that the entire beehive counts as one unit. It recommends installing the Lake of Decay, a brand new trap unlocked by defeating the Queen. Corpse sinking transfers experience and traits to a specific chosen target monster. This means that applying the Lake of Decay to the hive will make it stronger. Now pay attention. Seo gets right to work, deciding which one becomes the new boss. He makes his choice, picking the one that is clearly larger than the rest with a satisfied smirk. He names it Boss Wasp, promising tasty treats later right before heading to his next meeting. Juna requested a night out, but Seo and his buddy arrive early, so the guy starts questioning him. He asks what the plan is, and Seo says he's getting food for the guy he's raising. You saw his face, right? Asking if Seo is raising an exotic pet. It turns out Seo is actually retaking the rank test because the director personally asked him to. His coworker thinks he is a total weirdo since most people would spend their vacation time relaxing. The guy notices some girls staring and immediately starts bragging about how incredibly good he looks. Juna finally shows up and she is right in the middle of scolding him for being late. He suddenly sees her nose bleeding. Trust me, things just got real weird.